Guess what, Sitch? It's the 4-year anniversary of Loki.
Oh my God, the perfect time to talk about it.
Exactly. Don't you pay attention to 4-year anniversaries? Aren't those the big ones?
What is that like? Coral? Cardboard? What, I don't know what you're supposed to give for your 4-year anniversary.
Exactly.
You know what you're not supposed to
Kleenex.
give?
What?
Shock collars.
Oh yeah. We weren't going to talk about that. You're already ruining the live stream. So yeah, we're going to talk about Loki. I think the thing that made me want to talk about it, I think maybe a year ago we talked about doing a live stream on Loki, and we did a live stream that we were supposed to talk about Loki, but we didn't talk about Loki. We ended up talking about something else, and it took up all the time. But my experience with Loki was very interesting, and obviously, I'm a YouTuber. I listen to YouTube content. I love listening to movie content. So, and I just went back and I re-listened to Critical Drinker's video on Loki, and man, he fucking hated this show. He hated it. He basically nuked this show from orbit. I think Gary from Nerdrotic did the same, was making constant videos just shitting all over this show. So my take of it was, okay, well, this show is lame, totally sucks. I think my wife was watching it and she's like, oh, I like it. And I thought, she doesn't know shit.
She's a woman.
Exactly.
She's a normie. What does she know?
She likes a lot of shows that are just crap. So I was like, look, I'm going to go with Critical Drinker. I'm going to go with Gary Nerdrotic. They hated this show. This show sucks. And then years later, I started watching the show and I was like, well, this show's not that bad.
Wow. Hot take. Okay.
Well, look, the show held my interest. Okay. I didn't think it was, God's gift to television or anything like that, but it did hold my interest. I was interested in what was going to happen next. I did continue to watch. I watched all of season 1 and I did kind of like season 1. Season 2, I fucking hated.
This is so fascinating. I had the exact opposite opinion as you.
Did you really? Season 2, I fucking hated. I guess we're gonna get into that, but
okay.
So so this experience that I had on YouTube, I was thinking, I watched the show and I thought it was pretty good. And why? Like, why was my perspective so different than Critical Drinker's perspective?
I know why you like season 1, but yes.
Okay, give me your look. I got 3 reasons here. Give me your guess why I like season 1.
It's about a guy trying to woo a girl. Your favorite source of conflict.
That I thought was weird because obviously there's like an incest feeling to it. I kept thinking, how different is their DNA in these different universes, right? It's got to be like brother, sister sort of DNA, right?
Isn't it? Because they're the same person.
Well, they can't be the exact same DNA, but it's expressed so differently. I mean, look, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the alligator Loki is completely different DNA. Right? I mean, it's a freaking alligator.
And we'll talk that the whole concept of a girl Loki or an alligator Loki, all this, none of that makes any sense.
No, it doesn't.
At all.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, here's why I like the show. One, Loki and Marvel are not my religion. Okay. I have no investment in these characters whatsoever. I was never a Loki fan. Like I've seen all of the Marvel movies in the theater, and just Loki as a character in Thor was okay. I mean, I wasn't really attached to him. So a lot of, I think the blowback was, okay, you're taking a character that people really love and you're shitting all over him. So, which, I mean, I understand. And if I was in that perspective that I did love the character Loki, I'd probably be closer to Critical Drinker or Nerdrotic, right? So, but since I didn't have a huge investment in these characters, I was like, okay. The second thing was I was actually interested in the TVA. I thought the TVA was interesting. It held my attention. They had an unfolding mystery, and I think season 1 did a better job of giving you these little reveals, these little twists that were interesting and kept coming. So I thought that was good. And then the number 3 reason is I have a fairly high tolerance for the girl boss bullshit, especially especially if there's other aspects of a story that I find interesting. Okay. So
Mm.
obviously this stuff is kind of ubiquitous in media now. And some people, if there's girl boss shit and there's absolutely nothing redeemable about the property, I'm like with you. Like fuck those girl bosses. But if there's a little bit of something I like, I might look the other way just out of generosity. So those are the
Hmm.
three reasons I think my opinion diverged. So if
This is
your
for
opinion
season
is,
one.
yeah, for well, I guess it all of these reasons, yeah. This, I guess, number two, I was interested in the TVA. Doesn't apply to season two because you kind of figure out everything about the TVA. And I think this is why season two I didn't like near as much as season one.
Hmm.
Season one was very simple. It was a very simple idea, right? There's this thing called the TVA that's designed to keep there being some war between the various timelines.
Well,
Okay.
let's remind people, okay,
Okay. Go
how this
ahead.
all starts. Which the way this starts is that if you recall, if you've seen Avengers Endgame, they're going back in time to try to get the Infinity Stones, so they
Yes.
can undo the snap. And in one of the timelines, they go back in time to right after the first Avengers movie when Loki has been captured, right after he gets beat up by the Hulk. Loki has been captured, and they have the Tesseract, but they kind of screw up the whole thing. Loki's able to grab the Tesseract and he teleports away. And that happens in the movie. And so the
Right.
show picks up where he's now teleported away, and that has created an alternate timeline, a timeline now where Loki escapes with an Infinity Stone. But as soon as he does this and he escapes, the TVA shows up out of nowhere and arrests him for essentially creating a new timeline by his actions, even though technically it would be
Right.
the Avengers' fault, not really his fault.
If only this happened for all movies that get retconned, right?
Yes,
This would be
yes,
perfect. We need this.
right,
We need
right,
this in Hollywood.
and we're
Yes, you've
introduced to
destroyed the Alien franchise. We're arresting you.
right, right. And we're introduced to the concept of the TVA, which is I think it stands for the Time Variant Authority, right?
Hmm.
And they are basically the time police who every time an alternate universe is created, they will come in, they will, I don't know why, it's not really explained why. They have a fake trial where they arrest a person who caused the timeline to deviate. They kill that person, and then they destroy the entire reality of the new timeline.
Do they kill them or do they just ship them off to the end of time? It seems like that's another thing in the story.
Oh, I
You
guess you're right. Yeah,
you
they
think
send
these
them.
people are getting
Yeah,
killed, so you're
right.
like, "Oh my god, all these people are getting fried." And then you realize, "Oh no, they're just shipping them off to the dump at the end of time."
Do they ever explain why they do that instead of just killing them?
Maybe they touch on it briefly.
Yeah, because
There's
they
some
they
sort of
basically,
conservation of matter thing going.
I don't remember, because they touch you with they have these little sticks and they touch you with a little
Mhm.
stick and then you vaporize, and we just assume that means you were erased from reality. But then it's like, no, you're sent to some end of time where there's a giant sky monster that destroys reality. Like, why
Yeah,
don't they just like shoot you in the head, or like maybe with Loki or some character who they can't kill, like they're too powerful. That would make sense. But
right.
for a character, for anyone, to
Just
like,
some
well, yeah,
rando. Yeah,
you see them do that to a rando guy in the first episode. There's a random guy who's just being obstinate in line, and they just vaporize or send him to this place.
he doesn't
And
even
you're
get a
like,
trial. I
he doesn't
remember
even
that.
get. Well, that's another thing too. What is the like? There's no point. They never really explain what even the point of the trial is, because has there ever been a time where someone is like, "Oh, well, you're innocent. We don't even need a trial." Like what? Like not everyone's found guilty. What is even the point of this? Or like, what is the point of the structure of any of this?
It's just to make it look cool.
Yeah, but see,
It's
like,
just to add to the bureaucracy of the thing. It's the aesthetic is
yeah,
bureaucracy. So,
which
which I'm surprised because usually you like that. You usually are all on
I
board for the bureaucracy.
the first episode of season one of Loki, I loved
Hmm.
so much. I saw this first episode and I said, "Holy shit! Is this like, is this the like a coming of Jesus moment? We finally have a Marvel TV show that's
With the
good."
bureaucracy.
Because I personally love the concept of the all powerful but completely inept but bureaucracy. I always find it very funny.
Right.
It's like the hellscape of the mind. You saw this in Brazil where it's like some
Oh yeah, but
insane
you didn't
level
like Brazil.
of
What are you
well, I didn't like
talking
the
about?
ending. I liked it up to the ending. Like the insane level of just like super powerful organization, but it's all run by this like corrupt, stupid bureaucracy. Or same thing in Hitchhiker's Guide, where there's some insanely powerful but also stupid bureaucracy that like rules, these planets, and you just have to deal with it. I find that concept very funny. I'm always on board with that concept. This is the ultimate version of this. You have this all powerful organization that rules over all of time itself, and it's all portrayed as like this boring, stupid, uh, bureaucracy where everyone hates to be there. Like there's the scene like right in the beginning where Loki shows up and they're just treating him like he's just filth. They do not like no one cares about him whatsoever. I like when he first shows up and like they're like they print out, they have this giant stack of papers and it's like everything that Loki has ever said ever.
Yeah, that was
And
cool.
and they're like, "Will you sign this thing?" Now they kind of fucked up the scene because the scene should have been more comedic, where they're like, "Here's everything you've ever said. Will you sign off on this?" And he's confused. He's like, "What? This is ridiculous." And then like another page pops up and it says that too, and they're like, "Sign this." That scene should have like gone on for another like minute where he just kept saying no, and it just keeps printing, and they're like, every time you have to keep signing your signature more times. So he just does it because he doesn't want to have to sign a signature like 300 times every time he
Oh, that
talks.
would be great.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I do love the concept of like all this like horrible bureaucracy that you have to deal with and all this other stuff. So first episode had me hooked. I really liked it. Okay.
Hmm.
But after that, especially in the first season, like it just goes off the rails because in a bad way, because very, very little of the first season is really explaining the bureaucracy or focuses on the TVA whatsoever. It's hyper fixated on the female Loki, which I don't care about at all. It's hyper fixated on the fact that he wants to be with female Loki, which is weird
Yeah, that's yeah,
and
terrible.
strange. They have, I mean, I get it. It's supposed to be like, oh, he's so narcissistic. He wants to like bang himself, I guess, but it doesn't really come off funny. It just comes off weird. And then on top of that, the character of Loki, who in the movies, like, yeah, he would get captured and beaten, all this other stuff, but he would generally be reasonably competent and good at schemes and villainy and all this other thing. Like even in the first Avengers movie, he's like intentionally they stop him and they arrest him, and then they're like, oh, well, actually, it turned out that he was arrested on purpose, and he like tricks everyone into getting the Hulk to go to Hulk out, or he tricks them into fighting each other, and then he gets out of the case and he kills the or he you think he kills the guy from Shield that everyone likes. Like he's like a competent villain. He's doing all schemes and doing all these little things. And in this show, his competency level is dropped to like below 3, and he just sucks at everything completely. And
Yeah.
it seems like it's all being done to the fact of they nerf him just so they can have female Loki be a badass. And I don't know why. Like, why is this? Why is so many shows done this way, where you cannot have a competent male lead anymore in a TV show? People like to watch competent characters solve problems in fun, interesting, smart ways. And if you have a character like Loki, who's like the entire concept of Loki, this is supposed to be the god of mischief. The entire meme idea about Loki, going back thousands of years, whenever the Norse people come up with this stuff, was that he is a smart trickster god who tricks people into doing things, because he's just so clever and cunning. And all of that was removed from the character in the show for some reason.
Yeah, he's a god of toxic masculinity and they had to fix it, Sitch. You know how it goes. Come
I
on.
guess
Competent
it's
males are
weird.
scary.
It's terrible. It's like,
They're
why did they do this?
scary.
Why?
Only
Why?
females can be competent. Actually,
Okay.
competent males are kind of the tip of the hierarchy. It is really, really hard to displace the competent male.
Hmm.
So the females, they partner up with the incompetent males and they basically have the numbers against the competent males. So
But no, but well, in reality, all females they want competent males, and as we talked about, they want giant minotaurs that they can milk. Apparently,
but females who
right?
want to compete, obviously, in
Yes.
in the various hierarchies, they don't want competent males because they're competing against them.
Yes.
They want competent males maybe in their life somewhere, but they don't want to compete against them in the workplace.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
They
Yes.
want to team up with the incompetent.
So, well, so I had two. I guess I had a couple big problems, and then we can go back to your positives.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my big problems were I do not like that Loki is so incompetent, especially in season one. He's seems to be hyper incompetent. Is my big complaint, and then my second big complaint is that none of the lore makes sense. But we can, if you want to talk about positives before I go into my whole rant about why the lore makes no sense, we can do that.
Well, the competency thing, I already said, I'm not attached to the character of Loki. I haven't studied the character of Loki in detail. So
Mm-hmm.
if I've forgotten about a Marvel movie that took place 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let it ruin this show for me. So I completely agree with the critique that the character should remain consistent, obviously, especially if it's across a franchise. So the inconsistency didn't really bother me because I didn't recognize it. I didn't notice it because it wasn't,
Mm.
like I said, I wasn't really into these characters. So I was kind of looking at Loki as a fresh character. So
Well, is it to me? I don't know if it's necessarily I mean, it would be consistent, but it's just
yeah,
that
everything you said
right.
was
It
inconsistent
is.
with the character from the
Well,
movies.
that was
Yeah.
more of just I don't understand why you would do it. Even if it was a completely new character, I think I still would have been very annoyed by
That he's weak.
yeah, like
Yeah.
what is the point of having the title character of your show be this sort of incompetent buffoon unless it's going to be about them becoming competent or, like going on the journey to become stronger or something, right?
It's
Like even
interesting because this is completely invisible to my wife. She's like, she doesn't notice that the male leads are just completely
well, of course.
buffoons. Yeah.
Did have you ever seen Dirk Gently?
No, what's that?
Oh, okay. Well, no, I was thinking because Dirk Gently is like this. There's two seasons of it. Dirk Gently's holistic detective agency. And the two main characters, it's Elijah Wood and I forget the other guy's name. This British guy, and they're both kind of like goofy and sort of silly and incompetent to some extent. And there's like a competent, strong, independent black woman,
Mm-hmm.
but they still like they still solve the mysteries. They still do the things. They're still the protagonists of the show who are pushing the events of this story forward. And I like them for that. And it felt like in season one of this, for most of it, Loki's just being dragged along by the hand by female Loki. Like he doesn't really have a clear idea or plan or goal of what he wants to do other than he's like, oh, I want to escape the TVA. I want to run the TVA, but there's not like, well, how are you going to do any of this stuff? I like if
Well,
you're watching a show
look,
supposed to
they
be
completely have the same thing going on in season 2 with the time slipping. That's why I fucking hate the time slipping. I'm like,
right, right.
he's not doing anything. He's
But
completely inactive.
it's it to me, if I was to do a Loki TV show that has the same setup, like it should be very clear that he is working on the machinations of some sort of evil plan to take over everything from episode one. And you start to see, okay, well, how's he going to accomplish that? Where the show did tries to undermine that intentionally. Like right in the
Well,
first
they're trying to
episode,
milk it as a mystery.
but they're yes, but right in the first episode, he's trying to act that way, and they set up like, well, no, you don't understand. The TVA is so all consuming. You have Owen Wilson is like the who I did like in the show with his acting. He's the TVA agent guy.
Yeah,
Like
Owen Wilson was great.
they know everything about you because they've literally seen every aspect of your life and they've seen multiple versions of it that you can't like outthink them, out scheme them, and do all of these things. And I'm fine with that setup. But after the first episode, I assumed it was going to be they're so overconfident because they have all this information on them, but there's still a bunch of humans running around doing all this stuff. He's going to take advantage of that. He's going to use their overconfidence and the fact that they've been like lulled into this, we're so bored because we've been doing this bureaucracy for like, infinite time period that was going to be the opening that allowed him to take over. But they don't go in that direction. They go in the direction
Spoiler.
of he wants to bang him the female version of himself and he sucks now and she's competent and he's just going to chase after her for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's totally lame. Like she even ends up accomplishing the big goal at the end and getting to see Kang, the guy at the end of time.
Yes.
She's the one that does the final act that opens up the castle, and I'm just like, oh my god, you couldn't even give it to the fucking protagonist of the show.
Yes.
You
And
have
then
to give it
even
to
with
the secondary character. What?
and then
Why am I watching this?
yeah,
Can you
and then
imagine? It's like the mentor of a movie comes up and solves the mystery, and the guy who
mhm.
he's supposed to be teaching doesn't even do anything. You're like, what?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So out of
Exactly.
place.
And then at the end, when they get to the end of the universe and Loki's wants to not kill Kang and she wants to kill Kang, they have a fight and she wins. And she's the one that dictates, she kills Kang. She's the one that dictates
Yes, you're
the
right. Yeah,
everything about how it all goes.
yeah.
It
Yes, look,
really,
it's the message.
yeah. And I
The
hate to say it.
message.
I hate to say it. It really does feel like modern sensibility politics came into a show. It's hard for me to imagine that you would have a show that's about a spin-off show about a beloved supervillain character, and you're going to be like, no, we're going to sideline them and actually make the protagonist a female version of themselves and make the male version incompetent. It's a very strange decision to do all that.
Yeah, it's the water people swim in here. It's the air that they breathe. They don't even recognize it.
Right.
They think this is just reality. They think their personal politics are just reality. The progressive movement is just reality. They think audiences want these girl bosses. That's what they want.
Yes.
They want to see female empowerment on screen
Mhm.
24/7, 365.
So before I do my rant about why the story doesn't make sense, is there anything
Well, look, you
you
mentioned
want to
Owen
talk?
Wilson. I did think Owen Wilson's character was good. He
Mhm.
was one of the reasons that kept me interested. I just thought the underlying story about the TVA was interesting, and I wanted to know more. So,
Yeah,
but
me
I
too.
agree with everything that you're saying about the characters
Mhm.
and whatnot. The second season, the reason why I didn't like it at all was because the kind of the mystery of the TVA was already solved, and then
Yes.
they went into this. They tried to kind of capture the same magic. They're like, no, there's still mystery here. There's this loom thing that spins the timeline together. And I thought, okay, the first season was just very simple, right? All of these timelines, if they're allowed to coexist, you're going to get people jumping from one timeline to another and creating chaos and war. And that
Mhm.
is the inevitable outcrop. So, but then this whole idea that there's a bunch of timelines and we're going to weave them together, I was like, what? That makes
Didn't they
absolutely no
learn?
sense.
Did they not learn from the movie Wanted? You do not want to add looms of fate into anything.
I don't think I saw Wanted. So,
Oh, that's the one where they curved the bullets.
oh, okay.
You
I
didn't see
haven't
that?
seen
They
it.
had like a magic loom that like told them who to kill. It was really stupid.
Yeah. But the loom thing was just so goofy. And then the time slipping thing was so goofy too, because it completely took all agency away from Loki.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
okay, but
Go
we'll go to
do your
season
rant.
two.
Let's see. I want to hear
Okay.
your rant.
So, and it's funny because I remember I think it was only episode one, episode two of the show were out, and actually I had a long talk on EFAP about this when the first two episodes were only out, and we were talking about like the rules of the universe. And just from seeing the first episode, like you see Loki goes to the TVA, he's in the line to they're going to adjudicate him, and he looks up at a screen on a TV screen and it plays a little like cartoon that explains what the TVA's purpose is. And they kind of talk about how like, oh, if you're a person and you're supposed to go to work but you instead start a war or something, that creates a branching timeline that goes off, and that's going to create a bunch of problems. And when I first saw that episode, I assumed wrongly. I wrongly assumed, but what they meant was if somebody goes back in time, if somebody uses time travel to change an event, that creates the branching timeline, because that's how the branching timeline is shown to us to be created in the beginning of the show. Is the Avengers go back in time, they change something that allows Loki to escape when he was not supposed to escape. That creates the branching timeline, right? So I, being a fucking idiot, thought, oh, well, that's the rules. That makes sense. If you use time travel, that creates a branching universe. That creates all the problems they're talking about. They're going to stop
Already, that
people
would be
from,
so much better.
right? That would make sense and be completely perfectly logical. Okay. It's not complicated. But then we find out that no, it's actually 10 million times stupider than that. The way it works is that every time a person does, any person, I guess anywhere in the entire universe, does anything, makes any single choice to do anything, they could potentially do something different. Okay. So when Adam is walking to the refrigerator and he opens it to get his coffee, and he's got the soy milk in one hand and the oat milk in the other hand, and he's
I
deciding,
switched to oat milk.
yes, and he's deciding, okay, I'm going to use oat milk today instead of soy milk, right? Because
Wrong.
Adam, yes, because Adam chose oat milk instead of soy milk, he has now created a branching timeline, and the
Right.
TVA is going to show up and they're going to kidnap the Adam that chose the oat milk, and they're going to send him to the end of time, and they're going to destroy that universe from existence.
Forcing me to drink soy milk. Very fitting
Yes.
for this woke
Yes.
television show.
Which is, first of all, this is so stupidly insane, because you're like, wait a minute. They show like how big the TVA, like it looks like it goes endlessly. But what you're talking about would be literally impossible to police. You would need more people than people that exist in all of the universe, because at all times people would constantly be creating new universes 24/7, every millisecond of reality.
Well, I mean, if people rarely go off of the deviated path, then you wouldn't really. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
the
what
the inference that you're supposed to make is most people just do what they're supposed to do.
but why? They
Yeah,
never explain like what is the they never
and how
explain.
they even know someone is off the path.
Well, they have some machine that magically
Right.
determines this, but like
But
they
how
never
does that machine
explain.
work, huh?
Well, yeah, who knows? They never explain like if there's some special criteria that someone had, like if there was some special criteria where they said like, oh, this happens very rarely. Like they never explain any of that. So it seems like this is something that should be happening all the fucking time, constantly. So that's number one. It just seems like an insane thing. Number two, why would you want to create? You're setting up a system that exists in the Marvel universe, and all the Marvel universe TV shows are all shared, all the movies are all take place in the same universe. Why would you want to set up a lore which basically says, well, the heroes could have never lost to Thanos or the villains, because if they did, these magic time police would come in and they would stop that from happening, because every action and event has already been fated and everything is predestined already, and no one
Yeah,
can deviate from it.
they never can win because of the first episode of the Loki television show.
Yes. So why would you want to establish that lore for your universe? Like, if your universe is entirely about the TVA, nothing else, that's fine. No one cares, because it doesn't matter. But if this is part of a shared universe, why would you want to establish that no character has any agency whatsoever, ever in your entire universe? That's the stupidest thing to introduce whatsoever. And that's part of what was shocking to me was, how did no one at Marvel be like, okay, you can't obviously put this in your script. What are you doing?
This is proof that there's no free will. At least we get to argue about it in the real world, right? Whether or not free
Yes.
will exists. You're
Yes.
basically saying in this universe, free will doesn't exist, and here's proof.
Or if you found out at the end that it was like a lie and that they were, free will did exist, but no, you don't. You find out no, they're correct, that for some near infinite level of time or amount of time that is unknowable, there has only been one predetermined path for all events in the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Yeah, I obviously the reason that they do it is they think it's interesting in the moment and they think, oh, people will forget it. They won't concentrate on this. They won't be thinking about this in the next Fantastic Four movie. That, oh yeah, these people really can deviate from what
Why
they're
I don't
doing.
I don't understand, why would they not just do it the way I said, where it's just no.
Just the
Whenever
time
you do
travelers, yeah.
time travel, because then you could be like, well, no, people still have free will. They just can't change time, right?
Right.
That
Yeah.
would be totally fine. I think someone who worked on this worked on Rick and Morty, and I don't know if it's just because their brain has been melted on the stupid. There has to be a million multiverses for every possible, variation of the universe, which that's fine in some instances. It's fine in Rick and Morty. It's fine in Everything Everywhere All at Once because that's what the entire show, the entire movie was about, that one thing. But it does not, it's stupid when you shove it into everything. You shove it into a bunch of other properties. Oh, there's an infinite versions of the reality where everything, it's like, no, stop, please, God, don't do this.
They can't help themselves.
It, and then, and then it makes even less sense because we find out that there's all these variant versions of Loki. And, you know, as we talked about, the main one, there's a female variant of Loki who is an adult. Okay. How
Yeah,
is
which
that?
is like ridiculous.
Yeah. How is that possible? Because what that should mean is the literal moment a female Loki is born, or even really, you know, starts to form in the womb, right? That is female. That should set off the TVA's timeline sensors. That creates a new timeline. They take baby female Loki, kill it, or throw it into the, you know, universe furnace at the end of time, and then they get rid of that universe. How could you ever have an adult version of Loki that's so wildly different that wouldn't have immediately set off the TVA to go and you know, get rid of them?
They deal with this in the story because, well, obviously, I don't know how she gets to be like 10 years old because she's 10 years old when they apprehend her, right?
That makes no
But
sense.
yeah, you're right. As soon as she's born, like they should abort her in the womb. What are you talking
Yes.
about?
Yes.
So, but she gets to be, look, they're lazy. They're all smoking weed in the back room of the TVA. They're busy, okay? She
It gets even
gets
worse with
10 years
alligator
later.
Loki. It gets even worse with alligator Loki.
Well,
There's
hold
been
on. Let me just.
okay.
So
Yes.
she gets to be 10 years old. They abduct her. You know, she stamps on the guard's foot and escapes into the TVA and
Right.
escapes somewhere in time. That's how she grows up to be an adult. She's like a fugitive the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know.
in the
I understand
story,
that. I'm
that's
just
how they
saying.
get. That's how she
No, I
gets to be
understand.
10
But
years
as
old.
I'm
So
saying, it doesn't explain why the second she was born, that's when the timeline should have
no,
deviated.
of course not.
Right.
Yes,
And then it gets even worse with alligator Loki, which yeah, they did it because it's funny.
they should have the baby escape as
Right.
it's trying to be aborted.
It's or no, or somebody feels bad, like I don't want to kill a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they run off with the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be the normal thing? If you really want to do this stupid plot, like somebody, you know, it's that scene you've seen in the fucking Bible in so many different stories where the guy's like, you have to go, you know, Snow White, you have to go kill this baby. And the person's
Do
like, I'm
we
not going to kill the baby. And then they raise it themselves in secret. And now you have female Loki running around causing problems.
do we ever find out which Loki is from the sacred timeline? I guess it is a variant that's very close to the real Loki, right? So the
What do you,
Loki in the Marvel movies is on the sacred timeline,
yes,
and
yes.
the Loki that escapes and is apprehended by the TVA is. So he's looks and sounds like the sacred Loki.
Yes, because he's only slightly different than the normal
Right.
than standard timeline Loki. Yes.
Right.
And then with the alligator Loki, it gets even worse because we're supposed to believe that okay, it would make sense that you say, okay, there's some universe, if there's a multiverse, where
There's
evolution shifts.
intelligent.
Yeah, evolution shifts in such a way so that the Asgardians evolve as alligators instead of, you know, humanoids. Which, okay, like I'm fine with that, except the second that happened, that the evolution shifted from human to alligator, the
They
TVA
would
should
prune.
would
Yeah.
prune that. They wouldn't wait the millions of years required for that alligator
To
species to
form a
become,
Loki.
yeah, to form a fucking alligator Loki.
Yeah. They
Unless
set
they,
that up in the show where they say they prune immediately.
yes, they do. Because
Yeah.
remember, they show whenever the timelines start to deviate,
Deviate. Yeah.
they show a little monitor because they added a ticking time clock element where it's like, oh,
Right.
well, you have to prune the universe very quickly because if you don't, that universe is going to create its own multiverses, and then that will branch off like exponentially, and it will make it
Right.
harder to like eliminate all those other universes.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you're killing millions of people.
you're killing an infinite number of people, right? Because
Right.
was another thing why I kind of hate this whole concept of the multiverse. It's like, wait a minute, someone decides to drink soy milk or oat milk instead of soy milk. In that
You've just killed a billion people.
you've copied not even, and how far does it go? Is it only like the planet, or is every single thing in the universe recopied and then printed out again in a slightly different way? That seems
Right.
like insane that such a system could even work.
Well, this comes from the real theory of the multiverse, where
I
obviously
know,
it is an
which
insane
I think is
number of
stupid, but
universes. Yeah.
yes. So
You do think it's
so
stupid?
yes, but that's my so
If
this
we're
is
in a
that's
simulation, it's maybe not so
well
stupid.
that's even stupider, but that's my problem with a lot of like how the lore is so ruined. It ruins the agency of all other Marvel characters. It's completely mind-bogglingly stupid and insane. Why? There's no reason to do it this way. You could have fixed it so easily that I accidentally, before they explained it, assumed that they must have written it the way I thought because that's how they portray it in the first episode, and that would have made 1,000 times more sense.
And then you fixed it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. And I'm not a big brain. I'm a fucking retard on the internet. Okay, these are paid writers by Disney. How do they not figure this out?
Well, it's so easy for audiences to look past that, just to say, "Oh yeah, well, who cares if they don't have free will?"
I guess,
I'm
but
still interested in how the story ends. It's the same thing as a book, right? A book obviously can't take twists and turns. A book doesn't have free will, but you still read it because you're
yeah, but
interested in
you
how it unfolds, what the ending is.
right. But when you're reading a story or you're watching a movie, like obviously the characters don't have free will because they're
They're
actors following a
fixed.
script, right? But we, the audience, understand or think that the logic of the universe of the story dictates that those
Mhm.
characters do have free will, do have agency, are doing things that make sense. If the characters start to do things that make no sense because it's like, well, that's there's no agency, it's all written on script, then it pulls you out of the movie. This is why, the concept of like God coming in at the end of a story and dictating events is generally frowned upon in modern storytelling
Deus
because we're
ex
like, oh,
machina.
yes, because we're like, that's very lame and bad writing, and we don't really appreciate that. This isn't the time of the Greeks where all their stories have to be, odes to the gods.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think a lot of audiences are not really going to care. But look, I agree
I
with you
care.
that I
I
know.
care,
I
Adam.
know. I know. Look,
I care.
I like I like stuff that caters to what I care about, but
Yes.
look, if it's between all of the characters having free will or there being like some badass robots, I'm like, okay, I give up the free will. Give me the robots. It's so easy. It is so easy to set aside. I guess you sit there, your movie going experiences, you're sitting there the whole time going like he couldn't do anything else. He had to do that. What happens when a character does something that's completely out of character for a human being? Obviously that really brings me out of a movie when a character's motivation is just crazy, right? You're like,
Mm-hmm.
no human being would ever do this. No human being would be motivated to act in this way. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, this is obvious. The writers are throwing this in here because they need some sort of plot device to get them from A to B, right?
Yes,
So
it's
they're going to have
terrible.
this character too. But what
Right.
if the character's doing that just to prove that they have free will?
Well, that would be interesting. Like if that's actually becomes a part of the plot, is that the
Yeah.
characters realize that they're in a story and they're like, okay, I need to start doing things that are completely outside of my character to
Right.
break free of the script.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yes.
That would be super interesting. And then you'd have a device. You could do anything in that script.
Yes. Well,
Which
and
the
even
time skipping shit. Oh god, that bugged me
that could
because
have been a plot point of this show because it's like once Loki leaves the universe and he's in the
Mhm.
TVA, he should technically have free will. Everyone in that universe in the TVA should have free will.
Right. And they never really even play with that.
No.
That people outside the TVA. That would be a good that would be a good theme to play with because obviously later on people are talking about leaving the TVA and going back to their normal lives, quote unquote normal lives, but their normal lives would be absent free will. So,
Yes, which
yeah,
that's a great point because we find out in season 2 that all the people that work at the TVA were people
they're abductees
that
basically.
were abducted.
Yeah.
I guess it's implied that they were the people that were put on trial, and maybe the trial was really to determine if they work at the TVA or something. It's not very clearly fleshed out, but that like these are all people that were going to be erased, and for some reason, the TVA chose them to instead work at the TVA, and then they erase their memories,
Hmm.
and make them work here. When I think it would have been much more interesting if they didn't erase their memories and they knew that they were from some original timeline, because then you could have this whole sort of like prisoner's dilemma situation where all the people
Yeah,
that work
totally.
there, where, Loki's like, why don't you want to be free? Why don't you want to go back to your life? And then they're like, Owen Wilson's like, what do you mean be free? Like, I actually have free will. Here, my actions, are
Have
not predetermined.
consequences. Yeah.
Right. Where if I go back to the timeline,
I'm
everything
just
is
an
already
actor.
right. And then Loki's like, well, do you really have free will? Because you have to do what your bosses say or they'll like, vaporize you. And then they get into some sort of philosophical argument about, what is exactly free will in the situation. Yeah, there's so much you could have done with that concept. This
Philosophical argument. Oh, just what,
I know this is all
just
way
killing the
above.
TV show.
I know this is all way above, the Marvel TV show audience
I know. It's
to dare have
sad.
a conversation about what free will means.
It's sad. Okay, so do you want to move on to season two, or
Yeah,
is
we
there
can move on to
anything more you
season
want to
two.
say? So season two, the
Well, I guess we should just say season one ends with they find Kang. Kang is in charge of the TVA.
yeah, he's the man at the end of time,
Yes, he's been
right?
secretly in charge of the TVA. The people they think were in charge of TVA are fake. They're like robots or something. They're not
And
real
he is
people.
he is a scientist who had different variants that were the first to discover that you could jump between the timelines, and they all got in a nasty brawl. And so the trimming of the timelines was just to prevent this inevitable war, which is, I mean, it's interesting because the analogy would be there should be one world government, right? Because governments might go to war with one another.
Hmm.
And I'm like, why? I mean, that's an interesting that's an interesting conclusion to come to, right?
Yes. Well, and again, this is why they should have made it time travel instead of choice. Because if you had a situation where like, okay, one guy creates it's fucking Rick and Morty. Though I don't know, maybe Rick and Morty stole this because this is from some comic a million years ago. But one guy creates interdimensional travel. All other versions of him either created or that person or Kang makes the other versions of them created. Then they all start to get in wars with each other for some reason, and they all start destroying each other's timelines. But then it's like, okay, since it's not time travel, it's just making choices. It should be theoretically impossible for that war to ever end because every time one of the Kangs makes a decision in the war, another version of him is created in another timeline doing a different thing. So you just have like infinite number of Kangs creating infinite numbers of universes doing infinite wars. Like the scope of this just becomes astronomically impossible to wrap your mind around.
Yeah. Like all time travel movies, it's best not to think too detailed about it because it
I
usually
guess. I guess it,
unravels
it doesn't, yeah, makes no fucking sense.
when you
So yeah,
start
so
to
then
examine it too closely.
right. So somehow some one Kang manages to win the fight by destroying all other timelines except for his timeline forever, and then they forever police it to make sure no other timelines can ever be created. And
Right,
that's
yeah.
that's the point of
So
all
it's
of
like
this.
one super nation basically lording over any other nation that might come into existence and
Yes.
stamping it out before it has a chance to thrive because it may be a threat in the future. It's a
Right.
very authoritarian type system.
Yes. And then
So,
they
but
and
but
then
it is very simple. It's like very simple to understand. There are these timelines. There's going to be war. They got to prevent the timelines from existing.
right.
So, just
And
very
then
simple plot wise.
he basically allows female Loki to stab him and then he dies. And then that creates some sort of weird branching timeline. Loki wakes up and suddenly he's back in the TVA and like all the statues that had the fake guardians that were in charge of everything now have Kang statues. So he's in some sort of alternate version of reality than he once was. And
Right.
that's where season two starts.
Yeah, the ending was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
So, so then
Okay.
we move on to season two. And season two, you start off with Loki in the very beginning of the season time slipping, where he's like moving through time.
Mm-hmm.
Very we've seen this in a number of different movies. So, but I didn't like the time slipping at all because it's obviously it takes away Loki's agency. And a lot of the stuff in the TVA, they set up this new principle of there's this device called a loom that is going to weave the various timelines back together, which just seemed completely I didn't like that device because it really didn't make any sense whatsoever. Like these time they a lot of it is pictured. You're actually looking at the various timelines. And
Which
I'm
makes
thinking,
no sense.
yeah, it makes no sense at all. When you're looking at the monitor in the TVA and you see the various timelines, you assume, okay, well, this is some sort of graphical representation of some process that we can't really even see, right? It's
Yes,
like
it's not. There's not a physical timeline out there
yeah,
somewhere that you could grab. Yeah,
there's not a physical manifestation of it. Yeah, exactly.
right.
It's like jumping between uh I
Well, it's
guess
like
not you.
when you look at a map and you see the lines and the letters on the map, you understand
Mhm.
if you fly over the country, you're not going to see the letters actually be there. That's a
Yeah, exactly.
graphical representation of an idea, of a concept.
Well, even interdimensional travel, you think, okay, well, if there's a two-dimensional universe, I mean, they could be right next to one another and you're jumping between the universe. Like that you can conceptualize because you can think of like sheets of paper, right?
Yeah, or if radio frequencies stacked on themselves or something.
Sure, sure, yeah.
Yes.
But then all of a sudden they're showing no there's like this big room and you can see all of the various timelines and you're going,
What?
"What? What the
But it,
fuck?"
and that also is like, okay, wait, well, how do people exist on that timeline? Are they teeny tiny? Is this
Yeah.
like is that a representation of a bigger timeline somewhere else? Like, what does that mean? They never explain any of this. There's just a room that has a bunch of visible timelines that you can look at and interact with, and you're like, what is
And
happening?
so all of the timelines got branched out, got spread out in season 1 because
Hmm.
obviously Kang died in the chaos of all the timelines. So they have this loom that they're trying to weave the timelines back together. And you're just thinking, well, how does that work, right? If you're in this universe and the universe is going to be woven with another universe,
Hmm.
what's that look like from inside the universe perspective? They
Exactly.
clearly show in the first season when a universe is pruned that
Hmm.
everything just kind of vanishes, right? Is vaporized. So you're like, okay, well that sucks if you're on the universe.
Right.
But then I'm thinking if I'm on the universe and another universe is coming in and it's got another me on it. What I'm fused together with the new me? How the fuck does that
Yeah, what's
work?
going
So
on here? Yeah.
so and it
Right.
doesn't talk about any of this stuff, which might actually be interesting and kind of devolves into an office politics drama. And I'm thinking this show fucking sucks now. What happened to this show?
There's one of my big pet peeves is this exact thing you're talking about, where there's some setting that is about something science fictiony or cool, like time travel or zombies or the apocalypse or something crazy. Like there's some crazy thing going on, and it's like, oh, that's just the setting. 95% of the story is about personal relationships that are boring and you've seen a million times in every other movie. It's not about the actual one interesting thing about the story.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking on season 2.
Yes, and you're
I
like,
was
oh
so
God.
chapped. I was so chapped because so they create all of these problems with this loom and these universes being woven back together. And then they're focused on, oh yeah, she's got a job at McDonald's now. And I'm
The female Loki,
the
yeah.
female Loki, yeah. She's gone back to her normal life working as a McDonald's
Which, first of all,
cashier.
doesn't even make sense because you're like, well, Loki never worked at McDonald's. That was never Loki's normal life. He was a god of Asgard.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, why is
Yeah.
he at McDonald? Why is she at McDonald's?
They're just trying to go for, oh my god, the mundane is so great. She misses it.
Right, but
That was goofy.
yes, but again,
Goofy and out of character. Yeah.
it's they're trying to shove in some concept of like a normal person to the character of Loki who never was a normal person ever. So it makes no sense that he would
Yeah.
do that. And also with like the time slipping, because so Loki keeps jumping back and forth in time uncontrollably while he's at the TVA, which further ruins the lore because you're like, wait a minute, if
Totally.
time
Yeah.
travel
I was
is
thinking the
possible
same
to
thing.
TVA, wouldn't
Yeah.
that mean that the TVA would fall prey to all the same things where there'd be a bunch of branching off timelines of the TVA itself that would
Yeah.
continually have to be pruned because you're changing reality?
It's supposed to be outside of time. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's
But
like the
that is
Matrix within the Matrix. You're like, holy
right.
shit.
Right. Are we going to find out there's a super TVA that has to branch the TVAs and then a super
Yeah.
duper TVA? Like it's like it just goes on infinitely. It's like, okay.
You got to prune all these extra TVAs out. Who's the
Yes.
pruner of the pruners?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was silly. But the the loom the whole series, the whole season is just focused on the loom. Like the loom is broken and they need to fix it. That's basically the season.
Yeah, they
And
think at first that the loom, if you can fix the loom will make it so that all the universes won't explode or do whatever thing they're supposed. There's so something bad is supposed to happen if the universes just keep multiplying without the loom,
right.
essentially.
And they explore the backstory of Kang, which makes him 10 times less interesting than he was when we knew nothing about him.
Yes.
So it's just the whole season. I was basically watching it because of it turned into a train wreck. So
Well, so the thing I liked better about season two than season one was first of all, I liked what's his face? The guy from Indiana Jones and from Everything Everywhere at Once.
Indiana, Indiana, Indy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I liked that character.
I
And
just
it's
saw him in another movie and it was ridiculous. Oh my God.
right.
He
Well,
plays
he
like
was
a spy or a
oh,
super assassin.
that's silly.
I
But
was like, what
I
the
thought he
fuck?
was good in Loki. He was nice. I liked him. He was fine. He kind of just works there in like the tech room and doing all the tech stuff. That's cool. Nice little everything everywhere at once reference. Okay. But then the other thing I liked, or at least I thought I would like more, was that so much of season one, after the first episode, they leave the TVA and they're just running around with him and female Loki. This is very hyper fixated on the TVA, which I thought, okay, that's good. Because I think the TVA was the most interesting. The concept of the TVA is the most interesting element of the show in the first place.
Yeah,
So
we
any
agree there. We totally agree
yes,
there.
so
Yeah.
any time spent potentially at the TVA is better than time spent dicking around with female Loki. But then you're right.
Of course. Yeah.
Then they start to go into the whole backstory for one of the Kangs because it's like I guess there's a bunch of different Kangs, and it's like him in the 1800s, which is I guess a little weird that you're like like when people be super racist against the black scientists in the 1800s, but whatever. Running around failing at science, and he's got the little Miss Watch cartoon character lady who
Can
is
you
trying to
imagine?
help him become evil Kang. I don't remember what her motivation was, but
Very unrealistic that when the scientist Kang steals that guy's money that he doesn't drop an N bomb.
there you go. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Doesn't make any sense
Right.
whatsoever.
But so the thing with the time slipping, it doesn't it doesn't bother me, I guess the way it bothers you because in terms of his agency, because there's an like at first Loki keeps time slipping, he's like jumping all through time, and then there's an episode which I think is the best episode of the season, maybe even the whole series, which is that they're trying to fix the time loom. And Loki figures out how to control his time slipping. And you basically have the live, die, repeat Groundhog's Day, where he just keeps rewinding time a million times in order to try to keep fixing the time loom. And every
I,
time he just keeps fucking it up.
I just thought, okay, I've seen this in Live, Die, and Repeat,
Right.
and I'm pretty sure it's been in other movies, maybe even episodes of Star Trek. So it's well traveled
Yes. It's been done
territory.
before.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
really original, and they didn't really do anything to make it more original. So I just thought, okay, I've seen this before. And by
I
then I'd
guess
completely fucking checked out. I was like, fuck this shit.
part of the reason I like that was first of all, it was playing on my good feelings about Live Die Repeat already.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, okay. Also, it's like the first real time we've seen the character of Loki have
Being
agency and
proactive,
yeah,
yes.
be proactive, actually grab the story, grab the universe by the horns and say, I'm going to bend you to my will. The thing that you would expect the character of Loki to always do from the beginning. And this is the first time you finally see this character act the way I would have liked and expected him to act.
Yeah, it's weird because the character arc of the show is like Loki gets a lobotomy in the beginning of the show and is
Yes.
completely unlike the normal character of Loki, and then his character arc is just to get back to being normal
Yes.
because he is
Yes.
not really active and not
You're right.
really
It's like a weird reverse arc or something.
not really conniving or anything.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he's finally, I think it's actually the last episode that he does all this, where they're just keep rewinding time again and again and again and
It
again
is
for him to
yeah,
try
it's
to do this.
only the last episode that that
Yes.
actually comes into
So
play.
it
Yeah.
literally takes to the last episode of the series for Loki to behave as a way you would want Loki or expect Loki to behave.
And they speed run live, die, repeat
Yes.
in 20 minutes of the show.
Right. Right. And so the end of this show is completely insane. It's so stupid.
Oh yeah. We
Yes.
got to talk about that.
Yes. So the end is, so the whole thing is like there's a magic loom in, and it's like inside some area where you, if you go outside you like get vaporized because it's pure unadulterated anti-time or some
Or
nonsense.
yeah, it's the timelines. They're all out
Right.
there
Yeah.
putting
And
off timeline radiation.
yeah, who knows? Yeah, it's just not some nonsense. And they keep, he's like lives through doing this, 1,000 times, and he can never, no matter how expertly they do the whole thing, no matter how expertly they try to fix the loom, it never fixes, and all of reality gets destroyed. So he eventually goes back to the last episode.
He figures out how to control his time slipping so he can go back in time and do things differently. So that's what
Yes,
he's doing.
yes,
He's going
yes.
further back in time so he has more time to prepare for the big cataclysm.
Right. So
Yeah.
but he gets kind of like nothing he does changes anything. So he finally decides he's going to go back in time to when he actually met Kang, to the first time in season 1, to question him, because maybe he knows what's going on with the loom. Maybe he can give him some relevant information.
Right.
And then when he goes, that Kang is excited because he's like, oh, the whole reason he somehow knew that Loki would have this ability, which I don't know if they ever explain why, but he's like, oh, the whole reason I let you kill
He
me
does a
did all,
Palpatine.
yeah, everything you've ever done right now, like I knew you were gonna do it, and to bring us to this moment. This
Yeah.
is the first like real moment you've ever had that was not predestined or predetermined or whatever. Um, and he explains to Loki that everything they've been doing in the entire show up until this point was a huge waste of time, because they were actually completely wrong about the loom. The loom's function is not to stabilize time. The loom's function is a failsafe to destroy all other timelines except for the sacred timeline. That's the entire purpose of the loom in the first place.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay. So everything that our characters has been doing for the last 6
Or the
episodes,
8 episodes. Yeah. Is
huge
it
waste of
6 or
time.
8?
6.
Whatever.
It
Yeah.
just feels like 8. Yeah. So everything they've been doing has been a huge waste of time. Loki reliving reality 1,000 times has been a huge fucking waste of time.
Oh my
It's all
God.
just been
Some
for
of it was like
nothing.
thousands of years too.
Yes, it was all just literally for nothing. But then this breeds an even stranger, more confusing question. Because the question I had from the beginning, which the show never explains, is they're like, okay, there's a magic loom and it holds the timelines, and you have to fix the loom, otherwise the timelines will like smash into each other and explode, right? And I was like, okay, wait a minute. Why would that work? Like the timelines are naturally occurring things. Okay. The timelines just occur in nature. It was the TVA that had to be created to stop the timelines. Why, if the timelines exist naturally, like wouldn't they exist in a state of nature where they would be able to just exist? Why would you, like, how could you have something that exists in nature that is a natural part of reality itself, and yet it requires you build a mechanical object to keep it stable? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. It's like we have to keep shoveling core in to keep the iron core of the earth hot for some reason. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, yes, it'd be like if it'd be like we fly to the sun in like 2,000 years. We have the technology to fly to the sun because we
right.
want to build a Dyson sphere. We find out that there's humans shoveling coal into the sun. And you're like, wait a minute, like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, if you don't shovel coal into the sun, it's going to go out. And you're like, what? Like, wait, how did life form in the first place if it required someone to shovel coal into the sun in the first place? It doesn't make any
Don't
sense.
think about it.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
it's a
So
movie.
so this whole time this show's going on, they're trying to fix this loom. I'm like, what the like I'm wondering, like, are they gonna explain why any of this fucking makes sense? So then when and nobody asked this question. And then so when he meets Kang and Kang tells him that, like, no, the loom is just a failsafe to destroy all their timelines. I had a second, I'm like, oh, that actually like is smart writing. That makes perfect sense. Because obviously you wouldn't need a loom to maintain reality itself. That's stupid. But then they immediately go back on that because Loki's like, oh, well, that's a horrible thing. I got to let all the timelines be free. So I thought, oh, well, maybe there's going to be some kind of message about allowing things to happen. Maybe Loki should allow, he thinks everything's going to get destroyed. The timeline explodes, but if the loom explodes, but maybe it's not. Maybe everything's going to be free. And he's just going to go back and realize, like, oh, I didn't have to do anything, right?
Nature, return to monkey.
Yeah, I thought there's going to be some message about that, but no, it turns out that he's correct. Without the loom, the timelines will some reason explode. Okay, so that part of the story is still correct and stupid and true. So Loki, for some reason that is never explained at all, decides that he's going to walk outside to where these physical manifestation of timelines are somehow, which is never explained. And are they like supposed to be giant people or something? Who knows? But Loki is able to walk outside. He activates his little Loki outfit with the horns and the green cloak, and then he destroys the
They have a
loom.
little path to the loom, so he's going out
Yeah,
on the same pathway that they've been
right.
going through the entire
To try to
season.
fix the
Yeah,
machine. Yes.
right.
He
Yeah,
walks out
but
to
he's
these
not going to fix the machine this
no.
time.
He walks out to these physical fucking timelines that don't make any sense. He destroys the machine. Then he uses his new powers to physically grab the strands of time itself. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
we're like, what is happening? Then suddenly a like mountain appears from nowhere. Okay. I thought we were in some sort of void where time lines existed, but no, now he's like walking up a mountain, and at the top of the mountain is a fucking physical throne. And Loki somehow now has infinite power to physically hold all of time together, where he then sits on his throne and weaves the time together into a magic tree, like Isradol, or however you say it from Norse mythology. And he's so powerful now that that his energy somehow makes it so all the timelines can exist without exploding.
Yeah, the ending is so fucking bad. I kept
What?
thinking,
Yes.
like, who the fuck made that chair? Who made that fucking chair that he's sitting in, right?
Why is there a throne there? Yeah.
The chair just kind of appears out of nowhere.
Yes.
You're like, oh, how convenient that some chair manufacturer came out and made a nice little throne for you to sit on.
Right.
The whole series, you're trying to fix this loom. Now you've got a chair that just
There was
magically appeared.
right behind the loom in the void of time and space. There was a big fucking chair that no one's noticed.
Like, what happened here? I have so many problems with everything going on with the timelines in this season, and then this ending, I'm like, okay, well, they just said fuck it.
Yeah. Yes. And well, then just how did he, like, he controls his ability to move through time? I get that. And they don't really explain it. He just kind of does it. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I could accept that he's Asgardian. I could accept that he somehow figures out this ability, that this ability is because he was there when Kang got killed and there's some bullshit magic. Okay, I'm fine with that. But that's a huge step into he's so powerful that he can maintain all of time itself by just touching it. There's like a huge gap there in terms of like my accepting that he has this level of power for no reason, completely unexplained. And then it's also explained why he would even think that he could do this in the first place.
It's so weirdly world breaking.
Yes.
It's like, okay, now the timelines are actually physical ropes that he
Yes.
grabs onto and pulls and snaps them together. I brought up some animated gifs of them. There's a bunch of
Yes.
animated gifs of him
And now
doing
for
this. It's
all
just,
of now for infinite time for all of reality, Loki has to sit in a chair holding time.
yeah, exactly. You,
Doesn't eat, doesn't sleep, doesn't do anything. He just sits there holding ropes all day forever.
you keep asking yourself, what is happening here? What am I
Yes.
looking at? What is this? What's going on here?
Well, and also it
The
doesn't even.
chair is so ridiculous. This
I
big
know.
gold throne. It's like,
Yes.
okay, who the fuck made that?
Right. I don't know. I guess did he make it? He just created it with his new god powers, I guess, or something. And then it's like it doesn't fix the problem. The original problem that was presented to us in the first season is that all the different Kangs of all the different universes create a bunch of different new timelines and they all start murdering each other by destroying all those timelines. Well, isn't that going to just happen? Now Loki's going to be holding time strands and all the time strands are going to start blinking out of existence because all the fucking Kangs are killing each other again. Like, they're just going to create the exact same problem.
There are people on those timelines, right? And in his hand where he's got them all gripped together, doesn't that make it easier for them to jump from one
Who
timeline to the other and cause
who
chaos?
knows? These are all questions that could have been
Wouldn't you want to keep them
explored.
further apart? Wouldn't you want to grab
Yes.
them and spread them out so
Let's
people
see. I don't
can't?
know, that could have been some interesting thing if they explained that,
No,
like,
no, all of this is
even
ridiculous.
even the
All of this is
timelines,
ridiculous.
like the timelines exist, and this is just some like weird, like physical manifestation of them, and where the timelines are gripped. If you can access that point, that's what allows you to travel to other timelines because they're literally like touching. I don't know. There's all sorts of weird shit you could
No,
do,
look, I hate
right?
that. I hate that idea.
I'm
Well,
just trying
there's
to
been
make it work.
a
Trying to
lot
make
of
it work.
storytelling with interdimensional travel and whatnot, but
I know.
the idea that the you can create some sort of portal between dimensions is, I mean, that I think people can grab onto. That
Yes.
where you where he walks, where is this space? Is this in a higher dimension? Is he in
Yes.
heaven right now? What's going
No,
on?
there's some. Listen, I understand. I hear you, and I agree. It'd be silly. I'm just saying, if I had to work with this, yes, you could say that this is on some sort of higher plane of existence. So, like on this plane,
No, no, no.
the
I'm
realities
quitting. If the
access.
producer brings this out, I'm
Listen,
quitting.
I agree. I'm just
I
saying.
am
I'm just
fucking
saying
quitting.
that
I
on this,
tender my
I
resignation.
understand. I'm just saying, if you have to do it, gun to your head. They're like, you have to make this work. You're like, okay, it's a higher plane of existence. On this plane, the timelines exist as these little ropes. So if you went to the lower planes, you'd like experience those timelines. But on this
As
plane, they exist as
universes.
little, yeah, little ropes.
Right.
And where they're touching is like the weakness of the universes where they can jump between each other or some nonsense,
Mhm.
right?
Well, then holding them in his hand like that is dangerous. He should
Yeah, but it's
stop
it's sort
doing
of like
that.
he has no other choice because there's no other way to just he has to grab them all. Like there's no other way to physically do it, manifest this. They
Oh
just
man.
I remember when this episode came out because I sat there baffled as I was watching this scene because I had liked this episode. I'm like, oh, finally, I kind of like the episode where he just keeps like living the day over and over again. I was kind of invested. I was like, oh wow, okay, like this finale is much better than I thought it was. And then it gets to this part where he's like starts stepping up the throne carrying time, and I'm like just sitting there in shock, like what the fuck. I think I was watching it on my computer on Disney Plus, and I actually rewinded it 10 minutes, like did I miss an explanation about what's happening? And I didn't. They don't explain it, and I'm just sitting there shocked as he's walking up this throne carrying timeline. And I go on X, and I'm very curious to read the
Yeah,
people's
what are other people
reviews
saying about
and
this?
reactions to
Yeah.
this. And of course, everyone's like gushing about like how amazing this
Oh,
is.
that's painful.
Oh, it's so good.
That is so painful.
And apparently there's some Marvel lore about something like the master of stories or some nonsense that like this maybe in the Marvel universe there's like this tree that exists that there's a Loki or a person that holds all the time strands like this in the fucking dumb comic or something. And so everyone's like, jizzing over this concept. There's all those stupid like, all those stupid nerd publications that are like, oh, Loki 2 ending explained, the masters of stories. And I'm clicking it because I'm reading like, okay, maybe I missed some explanation of this. Of course, they don't even talk about it whatsoever because there is no explanation. And I started
But
questioning
it's
some of these
just from the
people.
comic. So that's why they're all
Yes,
gushing
yeah,
for it.
but the
Yeah.
comic doesn't explain
Doesn't
it.
explain it either.
Yeah,
That's
there's no
typical. That
explanation.
happens all the time.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And watching, I like because sometimes in comics or when things are based off books, this they cut stuff, so there's like a longer explanation. There's no explanation.
There
It just
is, but
means
a lot of times it's not scientifically
right, right. It's just
logical or
nonsense.
anything.
Yes.
It's just like magic. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
magic. I don't gotta explain shit. Right. And so all these people are just it's very interesting to me to show me how people consume stories and media very different than I do because it's very vibe based instead of like
Yeah, it
story
is.
based. Because they're
Yeah.
like, all these people are just so like, oh my God, the idea that Loki, because all the girls, they're like super hot for Loki anyway, the Loki
Hmm.
actor. They're like, oh my
Really?
God, the
I had no
idea that
idea.
oh yeah, oh, you didn't know this?
No, I thought
Oh
he.
my God.
Oh,
They fucking love Tom Hiddleston. They're like, oh
wow.
my God, Tom Hiddleston. The idea that like Tom Hiddleston is sacrificing himself to hold all of reality together. Oh, it just makes me so excited. Oh, I'm like leaking all over my chair. Oh, I'm rubbing my thighs together. They're all just like so like just like the visual concept. It really shows to me how like I'm like a visual autistic person. I don't really perceive things through a lot of
Mhm.
like a visual lens, but most people do. So for them, just like the visual image of him walking up the throne and the symbolism of that and the visual image of him holding all the little strands, creating the tree, like that's just such a powerful visual image to these people that even though it doesn't make any sense, that the visual image alone is enough to elicit these strong emotions in them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like storytelling that's plot driven, and I'm always talking about how you need a tangible goal for the character to achieve, right? And the resolution of the movie is that character either achieves that tangible goal or doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is it? What is the tangible goal here that is achieved or unachieved or not
Well,
achieved?
I'll tell you what they were going for because I can see it, and they just fucked it up. It's supposed to be Loki's goal is that he's trying to take over the TVA because he's evil and bad, and he wants to control everything.
Hmm.
And then he has to learn that like things are outside of your control. Sometimes you got to let, the universe guide you. You can't it's your ego and your narcissism to control everything. But then, oh my gosh, and a complete and then he starts to go down that pathway. But then, oh my God, complete reversal. Actually, he does get to control everything, only it's in a positive way. He gets to control all of time. He has but it's not control, it's responsibility. He's like a responsible, mature adult now. He's sacrificing himself so that everyone else can live in peace and harmony. Isn't he such a good guy?
Okay.
Which
And just like the visual representation of that, how that actually plays out in physical reality, we don't really know.
they don't care. They
Yeah.
had this concept and they're just going to make it, shove it in, which I am fine with that character arc that I described. It just has to make fucking sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I hated the ending. Just as you did. For the same reason. I just like
It was insane.
what happened here?
It was
Don't we
completely
need a
insane.
setup about these what's oh, they can be held together. Oh, the
Yeah.
loom isn't even necessary.
No.
He should have just walked out there on episode 1. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Well, and then also it gets even, and I just realized now because I'm kind of scrubbing through it. Like at the end, once he exists, why does it, shouldn't the TVA like not even exist anymore? Like, what is the, or do they all leave or they all quit? Because like the TVA has no purpose now, right? The TVA's
Um
only purpose was to prune the timelines. But if he's holding all the magic timelines together, there is no purpose to the TVA.
So we've gone back to the weaving process, and he is replacing the weaver and just holding
Yes.
them together into a sacred
Yes.
timeline.
Yes. Or see, why don't they
Isn't
do
the
that?
natural state though that there just is a bunch of timelines that exist?
I don't know. It's the way it should be. Why would you need anyone to weave shit? It should just
Yeah.
exist.
This doesn't seem like a sacrifice to me. It seems like he's kind of
No.
being a dick. right? He's
I
like,
don't
look,
know.
all these fucking timelines.
You could have like I think this would be stupid, but they could have had some dumb thing where like Loki goes out there and there's like another like older version of Loki and you find out there's some weird causality loop where like there's this Loki existed before the previous universe even existed and like there's always got to be something out there that's holding all of reality together. No
Right.
one knows exactly how it starts and like this is sort of the god being that exists and Loki has to ascend to some sort of higher dimensional existence of being this. I don't know. You could do all sorts of wacky shit, but this was just dumb.
It's that very old concept of the earth is being held up by God.
If if you want to see this story play out in a 10 million times more interesting way, go play the game Slay the Princess. It's so much better than any of this trash. And it kind of covers similar esque feelings or themes. So
All right, I got a couple questions left and then we can do some super chats.
okay.
So, I when I was went back to Critical Drinker's video, he had a couple things that I was curious your opinion on.
Mm-hmm.
He really seemed very mad that the Infinity Stones were turned into paperweights because the Infinity Stones were almost like this holy thing, right? These sacred objects in the MCU, and he
Mm-hmm.
thought it debased them a little bit, which I think there is an argument to be made that it did, but it didn't really affect me. I didn't feel
Um,
it was a big deal, but
I heard, yes, I remember him saying this. I remember a lot of people saying this. This became a talking point. I don't care. This is something
right.
that did not bother me at all for a couple reasons. First of all, because I mean, I remember I read the Infinity Gauntlet comic in that series with Thanos and all the other stuff like way before these movies ever came out. In like the 90s, and it was always established lore that the Infinity Stones don't work outside of their own universe because they are
Mhm.
like remnants of the universe. They don't exist in other universes. So that is actually completely within the lore that if you took the Infinity Stones out of the timeline or their universe, they would not do anything. They're
Oh, so
just
it's lore accurate,
it
huh?
actually is lore accurate that that is the case. Um, in terms of like thematically how that makes sense, it didn't bother me, and maybe it didn't bother me just because I'm used to anime. And anime is very common where they establish there's some sort of threat or power. And then when they establish a new threat or power, they do it by making the previous thing look like a chump. So it's supposed to be like, look how powerful and amazing the TVA is, that the Infinity Stones are just like
Oh,
useless
that's
here.
exactly what they were going for.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, and I can understand that some people that's emotionally jarring. To me, I think it's funny because again, I personally just like the concept of the all powerful but inept bureaucracy. I just think it's funny. So I'm totally fine with the joke of them opening the drawer and there being like a million paperweights in there of Infinity Stones that no one cares about.
It didn't bother me either. I thought it worked, but as a writer, I do think I would question whether or not that was undercutting some of the previous material. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
no,
I think the
I get it.
instinct there is correct from a writer
Right.
perspective. So, and look, it did well in this day and age. It's hard to tell if it really did piss a lot of people off or it pissed off Critical Drinker, and a lot of people just were like, "Yeah, that really pissed me off too." Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. There's things, especially when you are writers themselves, I've noticed, can often trip over things that really piss off fans that they don't even catch. Like they'll kill off certain characters or they'll put characters in specific situations and people get really mad about it.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I do love YouTube because you do get feedback from people. So if you're doing something good, you get good feedback. If you're doing
mm-hmm.
something bad, and it's an amazing resource where before the internet, obviously you were just kind of creating art
Right.
and you got barely any feedback on your stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
so next, Loki is bisexual. We have to bring it up. Is that
Was he?
terrible? Yeah, there's a quick scene where he's talking to female Loki,
Yeah.
and he mentions that he's bisexual, and she mentions that she as well, I think, is bisexual, or He says I just assume you're bisexual because I'm bisexual. So totally lugged in, totally inappropriate, total bullshit. I fucking hate that stuff.
Yeah, just dumb. Dumb
Yeah.
and, screams current year.
Yeah, exactly. So desperate. It's just a way to undercut your competent male, right?
Yeah.
See this guy that you think is cool? Well, he sucks a lot of dick.
That's cool, Adam. What do you mean? That's
They
cool
love to do
nowadays.
that.
Yeah.
Is it?
That's what the
Okay.
cool kids are doing.
Look, I don't
Okay.
look if you're a guy and sucking dick is your thing, knock yourself out, okay?
Right.
But I just think it's a little heavy-handed in the storytelling. So,
Mm-hmm.
let's see. I think the one of these we already talked about, Loki being a background character in his own show. I think we both obviously were against that. The girl boss Loki kind of took over.
Right.
But the last thing is the casting of girl boss Loki. If she was significantly more attractive, would you have been more on board?
I mean, I want to say no, but
I know. Why do they have to
but
cast this actress? It's so. I mean, she looked horrible.
I mean, I think she wasn't ugly, but I don't think she was super hot either.
She was not attractive, and her act. I
The
mean, her acting wasn't
No, and
stellar. I mean, I wasn't getting Academy Award vibes off her in
well, it's
any way,
also
shape, or
annoying too
form.
because like if you go and you look up the female Loki from the comic, like they always
Oh,
make her
she's
like
got to be hot.
yeah, they always
I
make her like
guarantee.
super fucking bombshell hot
Yeah.
with like long black hair and everything. And you're like, oh my god, you're like I had sent for this, I'd sent for this lady. So
Well, that used to be the reason to do the gender swap, right?
yes,
Like it's fun to watch Loki, but imagine the coolness of Loki, but some hot babe you can watch the whole time.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So anyway.
I sent you Majin drew a picture of me on you as alligator Loki.
Oh,
It's pretty
nice.
funny. This is pretty funny. So
Hilarious.
yes.
All right, I think we got a couple of super chats.
Okay.
So thank you guys obviously for contributing to the dialogue with the super chats and supporting the channel and
Yes.
whatnot.
And
I
also
think we
after
are.
this,
Yeah, I think we're gonna do another stream after this one.
after this, we're going to be streaming on the main channel about the
Mhm.
most important story in our political
Of
time.
our lifetimes.
Yes. Shock collar gates.
Yeah.
Hassan shocking his dog. We're going to look over the
is
facts.
it shock collar gate? That implies that it didn't really have. Oh, I guess no. It's just a controversy, right?
Yeah, gate is just controversy. Yeah. We're going to look over the facts. Did he actually shock his dog or not? Okay.
Right.
We're going to get to the bottom of it, everybody.
How
It's very important.
horrible is
Yes.
Hassan?
Right. Sammy G for $2 says best character alligator Loki. Yeah, Sam doesn't like that I say that alligator Loki makes no sense. What?
It is the rule of cool. You know the rule of cool, right? As
Yeah.
long as it's cool, a lot of times you can get away with it.
Mm.
So, and a lot of people did like alligator Loki.
He was a fan favorite.
Mentioning it.
Right. Jack of Spades for $2 says it's shocking how familiar the collar on Loki looks. Exactly.
Oh yeah.
That's why we're really talking about it today. We're preparing you for the collar talk.
The shock collar.
Yeah. Brian Shoot for $2 says, I love bureaucracy. Sitch 2025. True.
Oh yeah.
Harrison Dill for $5 says, I miss evil Loke in the Loke show. There's 100 Lokes in different dimensions. The show should have had Loke face his evil version. Yeah,
now, look, if this Loki, I got the graphic that you sent of the female Loki.
Right.
Now, if this is the female Loki, okay.
You're like,
where's season 3?
Yeah, you're more invested. You're like, wait a minute.
I'm far more invested.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't they? What is that wrong?
No, not really.
People want to make it out like it is wrong, but
no. It would still be bad if I know we still criticize it. Like, why is Loki super hyper incompetent or something?
Hmm.
You could
Well,
have
no,
had
there would be a reason he was super hyper
because he was
incompetent because
simping
he's walking
hardcore.
around with a heart on the whole time.
There you go. I mean, you could have had an eviler Loki, female Loki could have been hot and super evil or something. Well, I guess you don't want to do that because they kind of already did that in Thor Ragnarok with
Mhm.
Hel. With Hela was kind of like
Oh
the
yeah.
evil lady character. So I've already did that.
Wow.
That's probably also why they changed her hair color. Because and that's funny that I'm looking at pictures of Hela. Hela looks too similar to female Loki. I could actually see this conversation. Like we already had a black, long-haired white girl villain in a black and green outfit with horns. You can't have that be female Loki because then the audience will be like, "Isn't that the lady from Thor Ragnarok? What's happening?" Like people will be confused. Make her blonde.
Yeah.
Brian
So
for $10
silly.
says, as someone who hasn't watched any of this, is it possible that they made Loki weak as a justification for why he had to learn how to be devious and tricky? Um, that would be fine if he actually learned that, sure.
Or if it was some kind of prequel and it was the beginning of his life. I
Right,
mean,
because
he's already an established character.
this is after the first Avengers movie, so he's already at that point.
Yeah. In the sacred timeline.
Right. Brian for $10 says basic Wokey move to leech off a beloved character to push their girl boss character rather than developing a full character that can stand on their own. Very, very true.
Of course. Yeah.
Very true.
Got to sell that female empowerment story.
Cinema Sleuth for $10 says time travel and the multiverse are two different concepts. I don't think writers understand that. Endgame's time travel was basically targeted M-verse traveling to adjacent universes years prior. Yeah, and it all gets to it's very hard, I think, to make a time travel or multiverse travel story that doesn't just devolve into nonsense. I mean, they did it fine, I guess, in Back to the Future, which is like the first real big one that everyone points to. So, but
The photos with them fading in and out of the photos.
mhm.
I kept thinking, what's happening there?
I know. Like if you really think about it, yes, there's things that don't make sense in Back to the Future. Um, but you forgive it because it's first of all, it's explained very simplistically. It's easy to understand, and you like the characters and you like the story.
It's such a
So it's like very, very basic. It's
they
fine.
use it as such a crutch as a it's basically his detector of whether or not he's succeeding in
Yes.
accomplishing his goal. He looks at the
Right.
picture like, is the picture and
Should
it's
make sense.
so
Right.
fucking weak sauce.
I disagree. I think that the audience and the character needs some way to know that he's either accomplishing or failing at his goals.
Yes, it doesn't make logical sense in the universe that we live in.
I agree with you, but it didn't bother me. I'm going to
Right.
completely hand wave it away and say
Right. No,
it's
and
fine.
look,
Yeah,
that's everyone has a
right,
prerogative to hand wave away stuff. Like I
right.
said, generally people do that. There no show or movie is perfect.
Yeah.
There's always some hand waving required.
Yes.
It's a question of whether
Yes.
or not it's good enough that it deserves the hand waving.
Right, right. But you agree that the Back to the Future movies were good enough to merit the hand waving
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
Okay.
Super popular, great performances.
Uh, Jose Calejero said, or Josue Calejero for $10 says, I will not let Sitch's slander of Greek epic and drama stand. Even Aristotle demanded coherent logical narratives in the poetics. Bring me on for Nolan's Odyssey movie next summer. There you go.
Nolan's doing an Odyssey movie? Wow.
He is, which I am worried about because I really liked the
Tenet?
Odyssey miniseries from like a million yonks ago. Um, who made that? It's the Odyssey miniseries. It was like a television miniseries. And I really like the concept of the Odyssey and the story of the Odyssey. I'm a huge Greek mythology fan, but Nolan has this habit of like, I want to make everything grounded and realistic. And I hope he doesn't do that with the Odyssey. I don't want to be like, there's no gods or monsters. It's all realistic. That's going to annoy me.
Hmm. How can that takes everything interesting out of the story? I mean, it's all about the gods and monsters in the Odyssey.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how he would do it, but
It's going to be boring. A lot
I
of
would hope
rowing.
not.
A lot of
A
lot of
lot of rowing.
a lot of rowing.
Right. Orca for Jar says, I'm late. What's the update on the hearing? The hearing didn't exist. Apparently, the only information I could find out about it was that they had talked about it being yesterday, but for some reason they had never actually scheduled. They couldn't get all the people to show up. They couldn't actually work out the time to do it. So I guess it's postponed indefinitely until they can actually do it.
Such bullshit.
Yeah.
We're going to have to rely on Ethan Klein to unmask some of those Reddit moderators.
Michael, the Dober Dad for 5 Canadians says, Adam says he's a painter and I only see 2 paintings in his office. I have 32 and a bunch of painted figures. Shame. Also, $1,850 final offer. LOL.
Oh, I can't take it right now, but I do thank you for the offer. And wow, is that in your office? You have 32 paintings? I mean, I do have some paintings on this side, and obviously in the other room I have a bunch of paintings. So I have more paintings, I swear. I guess my
J-Mac.
background needs some work. Since your background really needs some work. Holy
That's
shit.
That's true. I know. J-Mac or Circuit Fire, thanks so much, Dad. J-Mac for the $20 says, wow, better late than never. Am I right? What are you guys covering next week? The Last Jedi. Ooh, look at that. Throwing shade.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
shade.
yeah, we wanted to talk about this. Obviously, I thought we had a great conversation about it. I'm super interested to hear your perspective. So we've been talking about doing this live stream for a long time. So
actually, I don't think we're gonna be on next week because I think that's when I'm hanging out with J-Mac on Thursday.
Oh, really?
Yes.
We're what are you talking about? We got to go see Tron Ares this weekend.
We can talk about it on Friday or something if I get. I don't remember exactly when I'm getting back, but
Tron. I sent a headline to Sitch. Tron Ares is so bad it makes me wish AI would hurry up and destroy Hollywood. So
that's funny.
But I will be going to see Tron Ares.
Yes,
so
we will talk about it. Whenever it is, the next stream will be on Tron Ares.
That is the key. You got to kind of talk about what everyone's talking about. No one's talking about Loki, but I thought it'd be an interesting discussion anyway. So,
Death by Sloth for JR says, you guys should cover The Thing from 1982 and its prequel, The Thing from 2011. For Halloween, 82 is my favorite horror movie, and I just watched the prequel this weekend. I don't think I've ever been more pissed off at a movie. Oh, wow.
Oh, 82 is the movie?
I've seen the original Thing with Kurt Russell. Yeah, when they're in the Arctic.
There is another Thing remake?
I have never seen the remake, though. So,
yeah.
I mean, I liked it. I'm not a big horror movie guy. So I was like, oh, that was a, fine 1980s horror movie. And I just kind of moved on. I know some people are like super into it, but it's not me.
Cinema Sleuth for $2 says, any plans for one battle after another? One battle after another is highly requested. One battle after another is what everyone is talking about. One battle after another is what we should have watched last weekend.
Yeah.
So that we could talk about it this weekend, but we didn't.
Is it woke?
Oh, supposedly it's woke as fuck. Yes. Super woke. So they want us to watch it.
Is that a pregnant woman on the cover?
With a machine gun? Yeah.
With a machine gun?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
All right, I guess that's it. We're going to wrap it up here.
Yep, and we'll see you in a couple minutes on the main channel.
Well, give us like 15 minutes.
Okay. Right? How about 4? We'll be there at 4 o'clock on the main channel, so the normal time.
Well, it'll be 1 o'clock in regular time.
Okay, 4 o'clock at
Pacific
East Coast
time.
Supreme Time, 1 o'clock at Degenerate West
Sunny
Coast time.
Southern California time.
Right.
Although Sitch is obviously in the Sunshine State, right? Florida.
Yeah.
Or is California the Sunshine State? I should
Florida
know that.
is the Sunshine State.
We're taking it back. We're the Sunshine State now.
Gotcha. So
All
we'll
right.
be there in 15 minutes and we'll talk about Hassan's dog shock collar gate.
Yeah, it'll be great. Take care, everyone.
Okay.